Hi, and welcome to the weekly predictions based on astrology for the week of October 18, 2021. In terms of the stock market direction, I think it's going to be going up on Monday and Tuesday, and then on Wednesday, the market will likely turn to down, and we may see a fairly strong market drop sometime either at the end of this week or early next week. In fact, I think from about Wednesday of this week through probably Tuesday of next week, there may be a significant increased volatility, and the worst times when there might be a strong market drop could be either Friday of this week or perhaps Monday of the following week. But by following Wednesday, the 27th, I think market will begin going up. In terms of the specific types of influences that we can observe, on Monday, I think there may be increased focus on various things like communication, transportation, education, and there may be some announcements about either deals or progress that's made in the projects that are, again, related to these areas: communication, transportation, etc. So social media and newspapers, really cars, anything like that. And the time from about after 17 minutes after the 11 a.m. in the morning New York time, any agreements or any contracts or deals or projects that are announced after that time when Mercury turns direct are going to fare better. If indeed there are some deals or sales or anything like that that's announced earlier than that in the morning, then actually there may be some revision to those, say agreements. There might be some revisions of the conditions or prices, or again, just any minor details that perhaps have been missed or not clear. They will have to go. They will have to be revised subsequently. So, for any such deals, it's best when they happen under Mercury direct, which will turn direct, basically starting in the afternoon on Monday. However, generally Monday looks fairly positive for communication, transportation, and this will continue into Tuesday. So if there were previously problems with, say, deliveries or shortages of drivers, or there's something that was, say, passengers or vehicles or deliveries were stuck somewhere, actually once the Mercury turns direct, and also we will have a supportive aspect between Mars and Jupiter. So from about the afternoon on the 18th and into Tuesday, such problems, they will likely be alleviated either through there just being improved conditions, say on the roads, or improved conditions through some legal changes where perhaps a green light is given to some say ship or vehicle, etc., train or something that's stuck somewhere and being processed, but some legal limitations or limitations that are associated with crossing international borders, those will be lifted. So from about Monday afternoon through Tuesday, it will be easier to either transport goods internationally, especially, or over long distances, as well as it may be easier to communicate, reach deals, take trips, travel, etc. And as well as it's good also for, of course, education, and any projects that are related to education should also do well, like I said, Monday afternoon into Tuesday. And generally speaking, from about the 15th through the 19th of October, the time is beneficial for things that are related to international negotiations, international agreements, especially about shipping goods internationally or over long distances. Also immigration, any sort of changes in legal status of any entities, and at that time, those various projects, again, related to foreign companies or dealing with foreign companies or entering into legal agreements, be it through some sort of contract or partnership, those should go well. And again, we just may hear more news about international agreements, international deals, or deals have to do with maybe changing some laws so that shipments or deliveries or movement of passengers across borders can be improved. Let's see. And then Also on the 18th and 19th, so Monday, Tuesday, there may be improved news about some positive developments related to IT, telecommunications, airlines, drones, computers, electronic gadgets, also social media, or high-speed railway. So anything that could be related to, of course, communication, transportation, but more even with, say, transferring data or supporting the some logistics through some means of using technology, electricity, making things really fast. And those areas may see some boost again Monday, Tuesday, perhaps again through some sort of either regulations that are granted that improve those areas, or through just improved laws and regulations that enable those areas to function more efficiently. And on Monday and Tuesday, the projects that are also related to just generally social media or some apps, and specifically within that, maybe some partnerships that have to do with another business, that perhaps like some app or service that can be added on, or in conjunction with social media app that perhaps helps people find legal advice, or like a dating service, something that brings either people or other businesses together in some sort of a way where they can enter into partnership. So those kind of projects may be announced again on Monday and or Tuesday, and those could be related to like social media platform of some sort. And again, perhaps it could be a new feature that's added to it. Either the company itself enters into such agreement with a large company that provides legal services or provides some sort of dating services, or it could be a feature that might be added to an existing social media or just communication company or transportation company that somehow combines this idea of, again, improving access to, say, legal advice, or improving access to again, for businesses or for individuals, where they can find partners with whom they can, again, enter into some connections that could be business or personal. Also through, starting from the 6th of October, where we had new moon, the developments that had started around that time, so it could be in your personal life or any businesses that you perhaps are tracking as far as how they're doing. So whatever perhaps had begun on the 6th of October, those developments will see some sort of culmination or highlight or conclusion around the 20th of October, which is the full moon. This time it happens to be in Aries, and we will have, at the same time, we will have difficult transit, where we will have Mars squaring Pluto happening at the same time, and that basically is a very tense aspect that generally just by itself typically coincides with various accidents, large earthquake, shakeups, fires, even violent attacks, protests, any sort of basically angry outbursts. It could be something that, of course, if channeled correctly, could be helpful in achieving maybe some sort of a, winning a title in martial arts competition, for example. But because of the square aspect between these two planets, unfortunately, it may be more likely to manifest through something breaking. It could be an object moving really fast, and then it reaches an abrupt stop, or it's basically crushed through something really powerful. And with the signs that are present, especially Pluto being in Capricorn, it may have to do with either underground locations, meaning that something that maybe is moving fast that's underground, for example, like a tunnel or in the cave, or underground storage of some sort, or maybe like Pluto has to do with like nuclear power, maybe nuclear fuel stored somewhere underground, for example, or it could be, or of course, ground shaking like an earthquake, things are happening underground. At the same time, and Pluto being in Capricorn has to do with things that have to do with mountains, be it physically mountains, so like an earthquake in an area that features mountains, or it could be a location that is like a very tall building, usually associated with like some sort of either large corporation or a building that's really old, made of like stone, rock, something that's very solid like a mountain, or it has to do with either governmental or a large corporate sort of entity that again is known for its stability, has been around for a long time, but at this time with the difficult transit between Pluto and Mars, there might be some shakeup. Perhaps, it could be literally some old building, may have, fire, for example, or it could be not necessarily the building itself, but the corporation may have a shakeup or restructuring in its top echelons. And so that transit will be in effect from about, let's say, Wednesday of this week, which again coincides with full moon. So the effects, I think, will be felt that much stronger. And of course, Aries itself is a sign, of course, that is ruled by Mars, sign of war and just kind of, fires and things like that, and just fighting. And the agreements basically are hard to reach, at least not hard to reach, but rather it's hard to reach an agreement when there's a lot of fiery energy around and everybody's kind of trying to be super assertive and wanting to kind of prove their point and not necessarily listening well to the other's point of view. And so basically, from about the 20th of this week into, I would say, even the 26th, but especially 20th, 21st, 22nd, 23rd, is when this aspect will be the strongest. And so again, there might be a large earthquake. There might be, unfortunately, increased news about accidents or attacks, anything that involves, again, fires, sharp objects, head trauma, cuts, or even military skirmishes in different parts of the world. Again, could possibly be anywhere, like somewhere underground or in mountainous locations. And so Pluto also has to do with things like uncovering secrets or just sort of violence, but sometimes it could be violence through manipulation and not necessarily in an open way. And so anything that's hidden, again, is underground, sort of in the quotes. So it could be, spying, hacking kind of attacks, or if someone, for example, is hiding, which makes me think of this Brian Laundrie guy, which I'm not sure, I don't think they caught him yet, but this would be the time, I think, when somebody like that may get caught, because again, the square between Mars and Pluto will be more likely to unearth these kind of hidden things that perhaps are happening underground. And so it could be related to perhaps financial problems for, say, large corporations. Again, Pluto also has to do with things like debt, for example, rates, and or it could be related literally with to some underground storage. Perhaps there's an earthquake and something that should be left alone. Some sort of like, I don't know, some sort of a byproducts of some industrial activity that perhaps were stored underground may be disturbed, and that may lead to some pollution concerns, for example. Or it could be, again, problems where, again, there's a shakeup at the top of the corporation. It has to do with either there being some financial scandals or tax evasion, for example. And again, that's shakes things up, and there might be some angry outbursts, obviously associated with kind of a reaction to those kind of news. Let's see. And so if, again, like I said, the time, unfortunately, or fortunately, I don't know, this week into early next week is not necessarily beneficial for reaching agreements, especially because of, this difficult transit between Mars and Pluto, and the full moon specifically involving the Aries and Libra axes. However, if indeed agreements are reached this week into early next week, the focus there may be on one side being basically very much dominant and almost manipulative, or even using blackmailing of some sort, or basically playing, dirty, and that the agreement indeed might be reached, but it could be definitely at one side, being a lot more, sort of taking a lot more, and the other side basically being the loser and suppressed. So let's see. So definitely not the good time if somebody's trying to enter into agreement that implies like equal distribution or equal partnership. And then from about the 20th into 24th, and again, especially through the 23rd, I would say, there might be also concerns about things related to metals. And again, this could be related to underground, of course, just mining. So for example, like some iron ore mines or any other mines that mine sort of metals, not metals, but ore. And that's because, again, planets like Mars is associated especially with things like iron and steel. And at this time with this difficult transit, and again, especially involvement of Capricorn there may be some either accidents involving, say, specifically mines, or it could just be related to some angry, upsetting circumstances that involve companies that are related to mining or related to metals of any sort. And so there may be some problems associated with any related industry. So it could be like shortages, excessive regulations, that's Capricorn, and changes in some logistics of how things are purchased, of how things are distributed, manufactured. And Pluto has to do with things like just restructuring everything, kind of getting rid of something and replacing it with some new sort of project, new process. So perhaps a large corporation that I'm thinking of that might potentially see some sort of shakeup, maybe related to, again, mining or steel or anything to do that uses metals for manufacturing, or that produces anything that either involves a lot of metal or is, I don't know, distributes metal, sells metal, I don't know. So basically, anything, again, it could be a large corporation, basically, that is related to either metals being used, produced, distributed, etc., may see some sort of shakeups or may see some problems in its process, and there may even be some restructuring, but the process may not go very smoothly. And again, same, I guess along the same lines, generally this is a time where different hidden things that are either hidden because they're somewhere underground, or they're perhaps hidden because somebody with a lot of power, at the top of, sort of some sort of echelon has been involved in that. At this time, those situations may be uncovered, and again, they may elicit anger, and it could be from just natural, some sort of circumstance where just there's bad weather or an earthquake, and, like something is unearthed, for example, and now things are sort of coming to the light. Or it could be through, again, some violent situation like maybe a prison riot, for example, or some sewer pipe bursts and things have to be, dug into, soil to uncover and fix things. But in the process, some situation that is also disgusting and difficult may be uncovered. So it could be the literal example of I just gave, or it could be obviously symbolic example as well. So on to the next sort of important transit after this. We will start feeling it towards the end of this week, so maybe as early as Thursday, then into weekend and into early of next week. There may be focus on anything related to the value of Neptunian sort of products and commodities related to Neptune. So anything to do with oil, gas, chemicals, any liquids, pharmaceuticals, beverages, music, audiovisual equipment, movies, etc., movie theaters, of course. And that will have to do with difficult transit between Venus and Neptune. And so that may basically, on the one hand, bring concerns about those areas, or perhaps financial losses from those areas, the value of products in those areas going down, or there could be some just problems because things are, say, contaminated, like contaminated water, or things are not valued maybe as high as perhaps they should be, or their value goes down because there's just, again, like oil, for example, prices were rising, so there is a correction. And so we will again start feeling that this influence as early as Thursday of this week, but I think it may be even stronger early next week. And I think there may be an associated kind of confusion or concerns about the stock market, and it may result in a strong drop, like a V-shaped sort of a drop. And I think the worst days for that, when the market could be down, is Friday and of this week and Monday and probably also Tuesday of next week, and with the recovery by the 27th. And even if I'm wrong on the actual direction, I think it will be a large reversal, or a large, I guess, move in the market, and a reversal where the direction between like 21st through 26th sort of is one direction, and the 27th things reverse. Again, I think there will be a drop followed by an up move by mid next week. And speaking of oil, I think oil, of course, has been going up lately, not unexpectedly, oil and gas as well. And I think that we will see a correction to down, again, like I said, maybe starting as early as late this week, but more likely Monday and especially Tuesday of next week, and as late as through the 28th. But again, more likely late this week, early next week, there might be a drop in the prices of oil, but again, anything to do with also, say, even ships, navy, or I don't know, anything to do with like fishing industry, boats, transportation over water, again, the price of any pharmaceuticals or stocks of, say, movie theater companies, all of those may undergo kind of a temporary correction. And for oil, but also, of course, other Neptunian areas as well, there will definitely be increased focus on those going into this new year, 2022. We will have Jupiter, which typically is associated with abundance, expansion, more of, and in fact, more of to the point of just kind of being too much, going back into Pisces on the 29th of December, and it will then stay there through mid-May, during which time it will also conjunct Neptune in the early April, but we should feel this influence, I would say, March, April, and May, and especially early April. And so there may be just too much, or things may be rising sort of in the value for the areas related to, say, oil, gas, but also other Neptunian areas, such as, like I said, pharmaceuticals, for example, movie theaters, again, beverages, especially alcoholic beverages, and other sort of liquids-based products, or music-based products, or products that have to do with like visual presentations, religious kind of religion, or sort of a new age type of activities or products as well. So there may be definitely an increase, and also shipping of course, over water, any sort of pipelines, ships, submarines, anything that has to do with water, is transported over water, uses water as the mode of either transportation, or uses liquids as its base. So those areas may see sort of expansion, and it could be both reflected in the prices. I think that there's going to be increase in the price of oil indeed, and it may peak right around April. I would say not until the second half of May is when we may see then a correction temporarily for oil prices and gas prices. And we will also see an increase in the number of, or quantity of either stored number of related, say, products. Maybe there's just going to be an abundance, and we already see some ships off the coast, I guess, of California. There may be even more either ships or more activities that are related to shipping over water, or it could be just the number of available, say, pharmaceuticals may increase. But basically, things will start ballooning more and more in those areas. And again, it may come to the point of oversaturation, which may be, I would say, right around April, maybe as late as early May, but definitely I would say by second half of May, things will start correcting to down, because again, there may be just an overabundance of either stock of different commodities, or things just will reach kind of an oversaturation point. And of course, also Neptune has to do with things like water and precipitation. So as I mentioned before, I think there will be a fairly significant increase in like snowfall, for example, in the northern hemisphere this winter, and probably massive flooding in the spring, especially in the early April, right around the 4th and 5th of April especially, which may have some lead to unfortunate losses for various businesses. But again, this coming spring and this winter and spring, definitely price of oil, I would be betting that it would be going up. Again, that's just my personal opinion. Do your own research. And then further, sort of into the future, in terms of more of a long-term prognosis, I think that we may see a really long-term continuing rise in the oil and gas prices into 2025, which is when Neptune is going to go into Aries finally from the Pisces, the sign that it rules, and 2025 definitely is going to be a pivotal year in many ways because of many interesting but also difficult transits that will be happening then. And among those, not only Neptune is going to be going into Aries, but also Saturn. And so, of course, Saturn moves faster than Neptune, but it will, for some time at least, conjunct Neptune and Saturn will conjunct in Aries in 2025. And typically, from what I've seen, difficult transits between Saturn and Neptune often correspond to major, like long multi-year kind of a peaks or drops, bottoms for oil prices. And so this previous drop we had was when Saturn and Neptune were in the square. Now they're going towards the conjunction. And so when that conjunction occurs in 2025, I believe it will be another major reversal. And that will be, I think, a top for oil prices, again, long term. Short term, I'd say, again, short term as in like on a multi-month basis, another big price increase will be into next spring. And on just a very sort of a week term, a drop in prices throughout, say, as late as the 28th rather of October, but especially late this week, early next week, like Monday, Tuesday of next week might be the worst in that sense. And then also there may be just increased news related to oil and gas at the end of November of this year. I'm not sure that there may be necessarily a big drop or a rally in oil prices, but there may just be increased news. Perhaps some concerns about excessive inventories may come at that time, but I'm not sure that there will be necessarily a reversal. So definitely interesting week is shaping up to be, and likely we will see a lot of interesting developments. So I hope you're having a fantastic week and stay safe out there, and I'll catch you guys next week. Until then, bye.